What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Rock and Roll Gypsy Diaries, and it is my honor to welcome Jesse and his wife. I didn't catch her name at first. I'm sorry. From Days N
Sure.
Daze and Escape from the Zoo. How are you?
We're well. How are you doing?
I am good. And what is your name? I am so sorry.
I'm Veronica.
Veronica. It is my honor to meet you. Anybody who knows me knows I'm a big fan of this style of music. You call it H-Town thrash grass, if I'm correct. And the rest
Yeah.
of the world puts you in the folk punk, which is okay. That's a very broad term in itself, as folk itself was a very broad term. Um, Tell us about the beginnings, what it was like growing up in Houston, and what were your influences to start making music like you do?
Um, when I was like 16, 15 or 16, I guess, Whitney, the trumpet player for Days N Daze, and I started hanging out and moved out of Houston actually to a college town called San Marcos.
Okay.
And it's just like, if you don't like keg parties and like you're not going to the school there, it's so boring. There's nothing to do.
Yeah.
So my family got me an acoustic guitar, and we kind of just started making dumb little songs. We played like some coffee shop, like open mics and stuff, and we just never stopped. Yes, really. Um, that's kind of all there is to it. It just snowballed. Somehow we just stuck with it. And then I met Veronica, was it 8 years ago now? 7? 8 or 9 years ago, and we got together. We're married now, but when we first started hanging out, we wanted to start a band together, so we started Escape from the Zoo. We just released a new album with that band, uh, and, and that's kind of it, I guess. That's the abridged version, the abridged history.
That's really cool. And I am not as familiar with Escape from the Zoo, and I feel like that may be a cardinal sin, but I'll admit my ignorance and I'll do my diligence.
No. We
Um,
definitely not put as much time into Escape from the Zoo, partly just because
COVID.
COVID. It's a newer band, and it's all electric, and electric stuff is just more difficult. It takes more time, money, space. Acoustic stuff. We can play a Days N Daze show in a park. It's easy, play anywhere. It's just yeah, a little more difficult with the full band.
yeah, I can imagine that would be a different type of setting for you, especially as a player. I mean, it sounds like you started out on acoustic, so switching back to an electric must be like, oh yeah, that's right. This is different.
Yeah, acoustic for like a decade, just strictly, and then so when I picked up an electric guitar for Escape from the Zoo, it was so foreign. Like, I mean, it's so much easier to like fret the neck and everything, but you just have so many options. It was like super overwhelming because with an acoustic guitar, that's how it's going to sound. With the
Yeah.
electric guitar, you plug it into an amp, infinite possibilities, and I think finally, with the help of Elliot from We the Heathens, who's also now in Escape from the Zoo, and Veronica, I kind of finally started to get the sound I was looking for, but it's still pretty new. Super fun though.
I didn't switch. Electric mandolins just don't work. They stopped making them because they just don't work. So I still play acoustic mandolin, but we run it through pedals, so it sounds kind of weird.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I can
We're like ska
imagine
punk.
that would sound really cool with some reverb, almost droning in a way. I don't know why I picture that in my head, but that's how I do.
Do a little reverb, mostly overdrive. I think.
Nice.
Sounds
I
pretty.
definitely need to delve into that.
Yeah, let us know what you think.
Will do. So has anyone called you Judas for going electric in that band, so to speak?
No, I think it would have there would have been a little bit of a backlash if we had just taken Days N Daze and made it electric,
Yeah.
But part of the reason, I mean, I just wanted to start a project with Veronica, but also I had wanted an electric project, and so I figured it would be better to just start something new instead of like just adding, amps and drums to Days N Daze.
The worst he got was there was a bunch of comments that were like, "Oh no, so Days N Daze is over. Oh no!" And he's like, "No, they're just gonna do both. I have time."
Don't you love how people automatically assume the worst? But I guess that must make you feel really good about the place at Days N Daze hearts, because you guys might be under the radar, but I'll be damned if you don't have a good following who really love you. I'm
I
one of
call
them.
it a cult following.
Mhm.
They're a bit obsessive sometimes. It's nice. We
Sometimes it's
love
better to have a cult following than the main populace. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
more dedicated.
But the thing
Yeah.
is that I found really cool is I got so excited about your guys' stuff when I found it. And I was sharing it to like older punkers and older dudes who were like young punks back in the late 70s, like in England. And I would just describe your music and they'd be like, I don't know if I like it, but send me that. I'm really intrigued. And they'll say, it's not my thing, but wow, that's really unique and new and fresh. So I wanted to let you know that as well. Like, even if it's not their thing, they're like, that's really unique, you know?
I'm really glad that they're not just like, this is total garbage. So that's
Yeah, I mean, I actually kind of laughed because recently when that Johnny Hobo Fire Hazard CD came out, some people were saying on the because someone put it up on YouTube, and they're like, "This sounds too produced to me." I'm like, "What?" There's no production on that from someone who's actually done a little bit of recording. You know, there's very little, if any.
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
What? Because he used the second track to put a tiny little bit of guitar like overdubs, like
Yeah, don't you know? You have to record everything at once through one vocal mic in a shoebox in the middle of the room, or it's not folk punk. That's
God
common
damn it,
knowledge.
why did Norwegian black metal have to get ruined by all those edge boys trying to record everything just as shitty as possible and calling it cult? So what was the first, I guess, recording you did with Days N Daze that actually like got released? Because it's hard to follow. What was the first one after, you know, with this stuff? The earliest I can find is the Oogle Death Machine came out in 2013, I believe.
Sounds right.
We didn't say it was good, isn't that one?
Yeah, I think the first thing we ever put out was like, I think it's like 24 or 25 tracks long. And they're just terrible, but it's called We Never Said It Was Good. So at least we cover our bases there. But I think I think it's on our BANDCAMP. And like I said, if you listen to it, go in with no expectations because it is terrible. I was like 15, 16, and I was just recording through a local mic plugged into a desktop computer with like I downloaded just this like basic like 8-track leveler. I don't know.
Oh, that's cool.
Just kind of figuring out how to make sounds and capture them and stuff, but it's not. I mean, I'll probably never listen to the songs again.
The songs are good, but the recording is not.
The songs are not great.
Nobody likes what they wrote when they were 15.
I mean, most artists don't like what they do. I mean, I don't re-listen to my radio shows or anything because I hate the sound of my own voice. Like hearing.
I hate my voice too. I hate recording.
I mean, I did a poetry record because I couldn't afford to put it out in a book. And I didn't even mix it, but it worked all right for that. But I'm like, I really got lucky there because I didn't have to do anything other than talk, though. And I added, you know, I just put my mic up against my amp and set it on Audacity and just improvised some stuff. And it's not mixed or anything. I just exported everything as an MP3 because I just, you know, wanted to get it out. Yeah. But that's actually really cool. I used to record with my friends really shitty songs like that, but we didn't even have the, you know, mic up to the computer. I thought it was cool because I finally got one, like a rite of passage. It was one of those old cassette recorders that you could put the blank tape in and it had the mic. Like, yeah. I'd like set it somewhere in between our amps because I'd be on like bass that I had broken the top 2 strings. So I only had the bottom 2 strings. So I know what you mean by really naive, but I don't know. There's something about an urgency and you're organic creativity at that age, I think that is more, I guess, in a way makes it more appreciative for you, but at the same time, when you listen back, you're like, God damn, cringe,
Yeah.
cringe, cringe.
I definitely, I remember like listening back to what I was recording while I was recording it when I was a kid and just thinking that it sounded so dope. I was like, this is the coolest fucking song I've ever heard. Cause like I just putting a guitar track down and like layering over a lead was like, blew my mind. I was so stoked on it. And now I'll go back and it's like all on like the high E string, just like 5, 7, 10, 9 or whatever. I'm like, oh God, dude. You had no idea, kid.
But hey, it obviously something started to work with all that, repetitive, just doing it,
Practice makes not perfect, but practice makes better, right?
Yeah, you can't improve if you stop and give up, and nobody ever knows everything about the guitar and music anyway. Even if you're someone who tries to learn every scale that there's known, there's so many that are unknown,
Yeah, I can't. I've tried to do like the music theory thing and the
I could
learning
never wrap my
scales.
head around it. I just play from the gut.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me. I've had it explained to me countless times, and I just cannot grasp it.
Everyone tells me how much it could help me. I'm like, but you don't understand. It's a foreign concept to me.
Yeah, it's like it's like a different language or like learning calculus or some shit. There's no room in there for it.
I always tell people, I did fine in chemistry until they brought the equations into it. Because it was just mixing different shit together. And of course, I was the one that everyone in my group voted to pour this stuff. I'm like, gee, thanks. I know where I stand here. But so how did, obviously moving on from the, a lot of tracks that make you cringe when you hear them now, your earliest stuff, what started to happen when stuff started to work out in more of a congealed way, I guess, if I could use that word? And how did the ball get rolling? And were you immediately accepted, or was it like, what the hell is he doing?
I mean, it definitely wasn't immediate. I think Oogle Death Machines probably, or maybe Ward Off the Vultures was before that. I think it was. So Ward Off the Vultures or Oogle Death Machine, I kind of started to figure out what I wanted stuff to sound like. And once we kind of got the idea and we felt like it was more congealed, solidified, we were like, well, let's just hit the road. Like we had no shows booked or anything. We were just like, we'll just leave and we'll play wherever we can. And we like played music at gas stations for money. We would like go to shows that were already happening and like the morning of the show and ask if we could just like open in different cities and stuff. And that definitely started to work. Like we were building up a little bit, just giving out like burnt CDs and like paper bags and stuff. And then the dudes from Leftover Crack took us on a tour, and I think that's kind of what really like
nice. What a break, huh?
Yeah.
What was that like?
That was nuts, man. Like I mean, we've been listening to those bands for years, like since we were like 13, 14 years old.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're one of the names that as soon as you see that name when you're an angry 14, 15-year-old kid, you're like, I need to check them out. Leftover Crack. Like, fuck.
Resonates so well with that like teen angst for sure.
From an outside perspective, I actually think that Misanthropic is what happened. He wrote a song and released a video on YouTube, and it blew up and hit 1 million views, and that is when Leftover Crack got involved, and then it kept going up. But I think Misanthropic, it was the hit. It was the one that went. Yeah.
Maybe so. Maybe my vision's a bit distorted, but touring with them definitely did not hurt.
It didn't hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, it was nuts. I spent like a month constantly starstruck just hanging out with those dudes.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's how I get sometimes, just meeting some of the people and being friends with some of the people I am doing what I do here. I can only imagine actually like being in that situation with that level of a band. It's like, holy shit, pinch me.
That was rowdy. I can't imagine doing what you do. Like my dad is a writer. He does a lot of interviews with people that he's listened to or watched for years, and like I just get I stumble over my words and stuff. Like I interviewed Mike, or kind of like it was like a chat interview thing that I put on our YouTube channel, but Fat Mike from No Effects, and I just like couldn't hold it together. I don't know how you like keep your composure. It's kudos, it's impressive.
I don't know what it is. I get like the inner kid in me goes, holy shit, all the time, but I'm just like smiling. I don't know. I roll with it in a way, I guess. I can't process it. I'm autistic. Maybe that has something to do with it, but
Me too. I seriously think we might be related.
It's funny because a lot of the musicians I've talked to, especially from the, Pacific Northwest and that late 80s, early 90s thing, a lot of those folks are too, I found.
That's where I'm from.
That's cool. I'm unfortunately from York, Pennsylvania originally, but my heart's out there in that way. I don't know why, but what was, so you said that Misanthropic and Vultures and Oogle Death Machine were kind of at the same time, roughly the same era, would you say?
Yeah, that was like the stepping stone bits when we were like really starting to see something happen.
I have to say, 9 on the Boardle is probably one of my favorites by you guys, because I'm like, they're singing about light pollution and it's got such a good melody and such good instrumentation.
Thank you.
Me too. His sister's in that one, and it's so beautiful hearing their voices all together.
It really is, especially how it starts off and the mandolins go in and it's just her voice, and then it just starts into almost like this sea shanty type thing about a problem that I don't think many people, I'm pretty sure a lot of people looked up what is the Boardle when they heard that song, which is good.
I did.
Yeah, but I was like, man, at first I thought you were just making a joke on the word bottle, but when I actually looked up the lyrics, I'm like, they're singing about the Bortle scale. This is cool. Like
I dig it.
Yeah, like I almost, it's almost like in a way as a writer myself, it's like, man, that is so good. I envied them for writing that first because I wish I could have, you know what I mean? Because it's one of those things as a writer, only writers can kind of feel that way, and you know what I mean. It's like,
yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Thank you. That's high praise, because I feel like that all the time. There's so many lyrics that I listen to and I get that like, why didn't I write that first? That's
I'm glad that someone else feels that all the time, because it seems to happen to me almost every damn day.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
So what was the reception to those records at the time? Because I know that, now you guys are kind of heralded in a way with your cult following that I am gladly a part of. But I mean, how were they received when they were first released, just to give people maybe an idea of how much you've had to kind of prove yourself in a way, or like, hey, I'm serious, and
Yeah, I don't think anyone gave two shits about those earlier albums. I think the first one was Rogue Taxidermy that had that Misanthropic Drunken Loner song on it. A lot of people probably have only heard that by us. Yeah, like Oogle Death Machine, War of the Vultures, anything before Rogue Taxidermy, I don't think anyone really cared about at all.
And Taxidermy is a good record, and I see why people really like it. But I'm not one of those people who are like, oh my God, that's so hard to get on any format, because as soon as it goes up on any kind of format, it's gone, even on cassette. And I thought I'd be safe saving that to my cart. Nope.
People are still buying it.
Yeah,
I like Oogle Death Machine is my favorite. I agree with that.
That's the man.
Honestly, it's a toss up between that and the latest one for me.
Thank you. That was really nerve wracking doing that one, because like we always just recorded in a closet by ourselves, you know. So
Oh, wow.
to go work with Fat Wreck and have them like help us in the studio and everything was it was very different. But luckily they were really understanding and you know, helped ease us into it, you know. And they didn't try and like change anything. They just facilitated and made everything, you know, sound that they obviously made it sound better than I could, you know, mix and stuff because I don't know how to work Pro Tools or anything like that.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, it's way too much to that program. It's absurd.
You have to go to school to learn how to
Yeah,
use Pro
it's
Tools.
ridiculous.
It's too much.
Yeah, my little cousin did, but I watched another friend of mine who went to music production school, and it really bothered me because the person they turned into, if I showed them like anything, they'd always be like, oh man, that production, I could have done this or that. I'm like, well, you just shut up and listen to the song. Like I listen to shit that sounds like it was recorded in a toilet. Okay, like seriously.
Nobody ever agrees on sound design anyway.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, what sounds fantastic to one engineer is going to sound ridiculous to another. Like, I think I was talking to Matt, who's playing stand-up Days N Daze, about some recording he was doing where he panned all the drums he was recording, all of them to the left, all the way, hard pan to the left, no drums on the right speaker. And I was like, that's ridiculous.
That's how the Beatles did stereo when they didn't know how to use it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, sounds good though. I just like in my head, I was like, that sounds outrageous.
But it's weird because if I would listen to something like that in the car or with headphones, you could really notice it. And it kind of bothers me because it feels off kilter and off balance sonically when they do it.
Yeah.
But
I'm not sure if it's like just because you know, or if you can really hear it, at least for me. But definitely, if I know that's how it was like mixed, it feels so off balance.
Doesn't it? Like I said, it reminds me of the early Beatles stereo mixes where the bass and the drums and the tambourines in one speaker and all the vocals and guitars are in the other. It's really an off balance.
Yeah, just really weird that they did that.
Well, in the Beatles sense, they didn't know how to use stereo yet. They had still only recorded in mono. They didn't know what they were dealing with in their defense. But anybody who does that now, they're just doing it to do it.
Yeah.
So then obviously Rogue Taxidermy, I guess, would be the next one in your discography, if I'm correct from my research. Obviously that's a highly regarded record of yours. I guess you could almost say in a way it's become your Nevermind in a way, to a degree, because like I say, I can't get a physical copy quick enough, it seems.
Yeah, it's definitely I mean, if someone's gonna listen to us, I would probably recommend that one first.
Well, yeah, it's got the rawness and it's got the
it.
hooks and it's got everything that you're about scooped up into a nice, for someone getting into it, it's a good way to introduce for sure. Are you proud of that record? Are you kind of like, I don't know what people see in it or why that one, or what are your feelings on the reception?
Super proud of it. I mean, it kind of doesn't make sense to me, but I'm not going to question it. It's just, you just record some shit in a closet, you don't think anyone's ever going to listen to it. So it's surreal that, I mean, you've heard it all the way up in New York even, like I never thought anyone was going to care.
Yeah,
But so yeah, I'm very proud of it. And if there's any of our music I do still listen to, it's probably songs off of that one. I don't really even listen to the new album that much.
Yeah.
But that could be because we just put it out and once you record something, you're kind of like sick of it for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, our new album, when I listen to it, I second guess everything I did, and I'm like, oh, I blew it. But in a few years, I'll probably listen to it and be like, oh, it's okay. But like, I mean, on my part, I mean, Jesse and Elliot just killed it. But for everything that I did, I'm like, oh, you killed it too. You're kidding? That's why I hate recording, because of the permanence. And I'm like, oh, this is going out into the universe for fucking ever. Anybody can listen to this for the rest of time. And it makes me nervous every time.
I hear that from almost everybody. It's always the, oh, well, we could have done this or we could have done this like this, you know? There's always that, you know. I think that if it chooses you, like I think it has for you guys as it has for me, where you don't have a rhyme or reason, this is just what you do. I think that's how they get, you know, everybody universally. It's like, you know, man, that's really good, but this could have been better. Or man, that totally sucks and everybody digs it. What the heck, you know?
Now we were in COVID and I was like out of practice vocally, and then I finally got like my voice back at the end of recording the record. So it's like most of it I'm like, oh no, vocals could have been better. I could have done this and this and this.
Yeah.
But it's there now. There's nothing I can do.
Yeah, you just have to appreciate what you know what
Yeah.
you recorded and just appreciate that that's what happened in that moment. You know, of course you could have done it differently or recorded, you know, but that's what we have, right?
Acceptance.
You gotta accept it, and I mean, but I'm not saying it how I want to say it. I don't think, but like you have to. It takes you back into that moment, you know. When I hear your vocals, like you said, like it reminds you of how you felt when you recorded everything.
There was the one day where I found Luna, my dog, and those vocals are great because I was very, very happy.
Yeah.
My dog.
That's nice. Very cute dog. I'm an animal lover myself. We've got a dog, 6 cats, and a ferret.
Nice.
That was Tim. Luna's over here. You haven't seen me yet. She looks like a snow fox. She's passed.
It was like, what, 2 days after your birthday while we were recording, like the week before Christmas, and she just kind of showed up.
She won't come to the camera.
Red light
That's awesome.
Red light syndrome.
So, I mean, I love listening. I think my favorite one on Rogue Taxidermy is Day Gone's, just because the groove and the lyrics and the flow of that song and what you're saying. If anything, as an because I'm 30, I don't know about you guys. As an aging punk who spent my teenage years running around with a bunch of gutter punks in Philly, your music brings me back to that teenage nihilistic kind of, I don't know how to explain it. Like, does that kind of, do you get that a lot, or am I the first one to say that?
We are also 30 and we also did those things.
Yeah.
So
Okay, then I'm barking up the right tree then. So to speak.
Yeah. When I go back and listen to like that song, especially, it definitely puts me back in the, you know, dirty ass apartment with the like crusty kitchen, you know, the refrigerator was broken, no door handles on the bathroom, just like
everybody's passed out on the floor.
Yeah.
But then when everybody starts to wake up, everybody starts going to make a coffee run or whatever. Anybody need anything, man?
Yep.
it was all that minus the apartment.
Yeah.
It's just outside.
Oh man. So I mean, what was the reception at the time though? Was it more easily accepted than the earlier stuff, or did it still take a bit?
I think it went over a little better. We were still just kind of like giving it out in paper bags, you know, folded in half, held together by duct tape. So it wasn't like produced well or anything. We didn't have like covers and, but I think that's when we finally started to kind of get some feedback. Like people would send us messages on like Facebook and shit like that, and like let us know what they thought of the album, or like want to book us for a show in some city or something.
Nice. For anyone who's starting out, free CDs. Give your CDs out for free. Music is like drug dealing. You got to give it out for free until people want to buy it. So you just pass them out like business cards.
Oh yeah,
it gets it out there.
Yeah, we must have we would go through like 50 CDs a day easy, just like people like gas station clerks and like, you know, people at everyone at the venue, everyone and the other bands that were playing, just making it rain, free CDRs.
And gas station clerks hit you up too. They have hit us up and been like, hey, you gave me a CD in the middle of nowhere. I
Yeah.
work at a gas station and be like, I love you guys. Like,
Yeah, like see, and that's one thing that I think that people really need to remember is it's not just social networking online. You got to get out there and actually go to your people. You got to bring it to the streets, you know?
get to the
Oh, yeah.
streets.
Now that we can, I mean, obviously no one could really tour for like 2 years, but
Oh yeah.
now that everything's kind of opening up, yeah, it's, if you're trying to play music for a career, you gotta leave where you're from. I mean, for most people. I
Oh yeah.
guess some people just do it right and know how to do everything through the internet, but I'm not tech savvy
Yeah.
enough, I guess.
Me,
Even
me
if you
neither,
live in
man.
like Seattle or like LA, you're in an oversaturated area. So if you get
Yeah.
out to the little areas, like go out to Texas, go out to like the little, I mean, don't go to Texas. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, come to Texas.
Come to Texas.
We need it.
But just the, yeah, the little areas where people really hear that and just try and get some shows.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, there's some places near me that I don't really have any pull with, but I don't know if you've played up near Buffalo or Rochester yet, but I think that would be a good area for you guys.
We're about to be there in like a month-ish.
Mhm. Well, with Escape from the Zoo.
Mhm.
Keep me posted for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I definitely want to see you guys. The last punk show I saw was the Attics right before all the stuff happened up in Ithaca. Yeah.
Did they have like glitter bombs and all
Oh
that?
yeah, they had the whole gamut. He had an umbrella that had these like spotlights, and like he was shining them out. And then like when he opened it up, it kind of like twirled in the air, and it had a bunch of streamers come down. I'm like, this is like punk rock Kiss meets Alice Cooper. But like it was like kind of sticky and corny, but it was like supposed to be that way. Like they
Yeah.
played I Am Yours, and I'm dancing with my wife to it, and she says, look, and Monkey's up there with a teddy bear singing to it into the mic, like, you know, and then he throws it out to the crowd. It was so cool. Like they pulled all the stops in this little, you know, nowhere venue in Ithaca, New York on a night where the weather was pretty much, you know, we get a lot of snow up here. And
Yeah,
it was just
they
great.
put on the show.
I always wanted to see them. It's crazy.
They actually tour the US a lot, and like they played Rochester or they played Ithaca when I saw them, and the next night they were in Buffalo. So I mean, they play many different cities in the smaller towns and stuff in the smaller venues, and definitely without a doubt would recommend seeing them. They are so fun and they don't disappoint. I mean, I'm trying to think of the other things that they had because they had just
Probably too much.
No, it's not too much, but it's done very well for what they do, and you know, it's great.
I just mean too much to remember because they put so much into it. It's
Yeah,
like,
that's what I mean. I'd have to go back to my photos, but I mean, literally, like, yeah, for like almost every song, they had a different prop, or at least Monkey did. So, I mean,
That's so much work. I've thought about like trying to do, obviously not to that level, that
yeah,
degree, but like just like bringing our own like lighting or something. And
yeah,
I'm just too lazy for it. Like you need like a crew of people to do some shit like that.
oh my God, we just saw
It's
Devo
impressive.
at Punk Rock Bowling recently, and holy shit, did they put on a show. I was like, they are old dudes now. There's no way that they're gonna like do the outfits and the whole thing. They do the outfits. They do everything.
nice, yeah,
They put on, people were putting masks on them, and nobody saw them put the mask on. Like gradually throughout the song, every one of them just by the end of it had a monkey mask on, and we're just like, where did they come from? It's mind blowing. Check out Devo when you can. They are incredible.
absolutely. So the next record was Crustfall, right? If we're going
Yeah.
chronologically. Now that
Right.
record, that was one of the first ones because I got into you guys when I was revisiting my old aggro crust punk. And I don't know if the artwork and the title is ironic or supposed to be like poking fun at that whole thing, because I love the album art for that. But there definitely seems to be and your acoustic stripped down, even though you've got beautiful melodies, you've definitely got that, some elements of that stuff, the aggro, crusty, you know, punk rock. Was that all done on purpose for the record to fit the theme, or was that just what happened at the time?
I think, I mean, the title came last, so we were just kind of looking at the body of songs that we were going to put on the album, and
Okay.
I forget who pitched it, but they're like it's a play on trust fall, and we thought that was hilarious. So
Yeah.
it might have been Coy, it might have been the bass player for Escape from the Zoo, actually.
There's a point where you hear crashing and they go crystal, and then
Yeah.
he actually Coy did that, and he actually got hurt.
Jumped as some drums or something.
Well, it's
Yeah,
not really a good crust punk statement if you don't get hurt while doing it.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think the title is just a product of us looking at. I mean, I don't think we've ever to have like an album sound a certain way or have a certain theme or anything. We just kind of write a bunch of songs, and then when we have enough, we're like, maybe we should record them, and, you know, put them out.
Yeah.
So just kind of happened.
I mean, I just love how that record is very visceral. I would say for someone who doesn't know anything about this genre or anything, that, you know, it's gonna hit you like a brick to the head. I think a lot of the songs, but I love how you have the melodies. It's almost like you say and mean the things you say, but the way you're saying it is almost tongue in cheek in a kind of way. Would that be a correct interpretation?
I think. Do you mean like the?
Like lyrically, and how you deliver songs like "Save a Life"?
Yeah. Okay. Well, so when I was a kid, my dad brought me up on punk. And I remember so vividly this conversation I had with him where he was telling me about how sometimes the lyrics tonally don't really have to match the music. Like you can have really serious subject matter and then like kind of like lighthearted, you know, melodies and music to go along with that. And that's kind of what punk rock was to him. And that always stuck with me. And I think maybe if I'm getting what you're asking about, that's kind of how that came to be. I was like, we have these really intense lyrics, but I don't want it to. I want it to be like a total bummer. Like at least you can, you know, try and make people move while they're listening.
I meant
to
kind of like satirical and kind of the way Jello Biafra was in like Holiday in Cambodia.
Yeah,
where it's like tongue in cheek, but he means what he says at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah, try and, you know, keep a levity to it so it's not just soul crushing. You know, because that's like,
absolutely, and that's
go listen to like Dystopia for that. You know.
Yeah, I went on a Doom binge. Like, because, you know, everybody that I loved and grew up listening to always had that ability to go against the grain, but give it with a friendly wink in a way, you know?
Yeah.
I like that idea of I'm a friendly tyrant, you know? Like Jello Biafra running for mayor, I thought was brilliant back in the day. Watching that footage as a teenager, him vacuuming the streets of San Francisco, I'm like, oh my God, that, you know, that had a profound effect on me, you know? So I kind of, you know, knowing what I do, listening to your music, some would say maybe I read too much into it, but I connected with it because I feel like I could really understand it in a way that a lot of people, you have to feel it. You can't, you know, but,
I'm glad it means the world.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I just was curious if that was intentional or if that's just how your writing style was, or if that's what you go for.
That just how it comes out, I guess. I've tried to like write certain ways and certain styles before, and it just always comes out too try hard. I mean, it doesn't. I've never released anything that I've written where I was like going for a specific sound because it just doesn't feel natural to me.
Yeah, and you know, I just, people need to hear that, because I feel like some people get too stuck into trying to be one thing that it ends up turning into a farce. You just got to chill and just let what happens naturally. You know, I think that's killed a lot of bands and, you know, so many things over the years.
Yeah.
One question that I actually asked, I asked a few viewers if they had any questions. And one of them wanted to know what your favorite hot sauce was.
Ooh, that's a good one. I think I'll just go with Dave's Insanity sauce.
Okay.
We always have that around, and like one bottle will last you like a decade because you need a drop for like an entire
Nice.
plate of food. It just like keeps the flavor of the food and adds the heat, you know?
Yeah.
If I'm going for something that's less spicy, just like the green Tabasco sauce. Pretty good.
I'm
Nice.
from 1894, I think. It's 18 something by Heartbreaking Dawn. It's fruity, kind of. It has carrot and onion and some fruit in it, but it's
Wow, so
got a good amount of spice. Yeah, but you can use a ton of that. It's super good.
Nice. I'm sorry, that just randomly came to mind, and I thought that would be a good question. I mean, I just I'm having trouble because was there a gap from 2017 to the latest record with Crustfall, or did you do a lot of splits during that time?
I think in that space might be where Escape from the Zoo started. We put
Okay.
out Helicopter and like an EP. So I think maybe and a demo. So I think there might be like 3 Escape from the Zoo albums
Awesome.
in between Crestfall and Blueprint.
But also between Rogue and Crossfall, you did like 4 splits.
Oh yeah,
Days N Daze did.
Yeah, I was gonna say you did Night Gaunts. I know
Yeah.
that.
There was Night Gaunts, the Royal Deathmatch, the other one, Railway Ghost.
Yeah, I was
No,
gonna
yeah.
say you did the one with Rail Yard Ghost too. And those are good bands too. Do you have like is there like a camaraderie between you guys within this subgenre of a subgenre? Technical difficulties. We had some technical issues, but yeah, so you did some splits with Rail Yard Ghosts and stuff like that. What was that like? And do you guys kind of have like a camaraderie between you guys within
Oh,
this
yeah.
certain subgenre?
Yeah, all the bands that we've done splits with, we're like really close with. We've, toured with those bands or at least played shows with them and like hung out a ton. I think a Royal Deathmatch was the first split that we did. We knew those every time we went through Albuquerque, we'd play at Alex's house. I think he played ukulele, yeah. For Royal Deathmatch and Rail Yard Ghosts, same thing. We've been on the road with them a couple times. Night Gaunts was weird because I got super, super into them. I think in like 2009 maybe. I was listening to them like every day, and they sent Whitney an email and asked if they could tour the States with us. We had never spoke before, so we were like enjoying each other's music simultaneously and unknowingly. They're from Australia, for anybody that doesn't know. So halfway across the world. Oh, I'm sorry, New Zealand. Oh no, they would hate me so much for that. Edit it out. I'm just kidding. But yeah, all the bands that we've done splits with, we've been really close with, for sure.
That's really cool. And the one thing I gotta say is, within the scene, I've noticed you guys, Rob Taxpayer, everybody else, you guys are really 100% like grade A people. Like, and that's really rare in this genre, it seems, to a degree. We
try.
I mean, I don't know, I'm not going to mention too much, but I mean, Johnny Rotten recently has really let me down. So it's nice to see that there's still some goodness in it, if you know what I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has a past, but it seems the more and more that we go into this, we see a lot of stuff from people that we once loved that we're like, that's not so great, man.
Some people don't react well to that much attention, and it does something to their personalities that a lot of people don't like.
And a lot of people, I feel like it's still wrong, but I feel like in a way they don't, in some respects, there's circumstances, in some respects, there's no excuse at all. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. You can catch someone at a bad time and have a bad experience just walking down the street. You know what I mean? I think people just need to start treating, anybody in bands or, that whole idea of celebrity, just treat them like people.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, part of it just comes with the scene too. The folk punk scene is so welcoming. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
and the punk
so
scene alone
grateful to
is,
be.
you know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm so grateful to be a part of it. It's just like so inclusive, and for the most part, it seems like everyone has everyone else's best interests in mind,
Yeah.
and that's that's rare sometimes.
It's like there's no competition between each other. You're all after the same thing, so there's no need for any egotism or crap like that.
Yeah, there's an understanding too that, like, if one of us makes it, it's good for all of us. Like, if I get a 6 show booked, all my friends that are in that town are playing that show. It's like,
Absolutely.
We're all in this together, as
Yeah.
Birdtooth said. Birdtooth is great. They're from Seattle.
Yes. I just, like I said, from growing up with the music, growing up in the scene, I love what you do. And, like I said, I haven't heard anything that's blown my mind like this since I heard Crass and the Sex Pistols as a teenager. Like, I actually feel excited about something new again. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
And I mean that. I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass. I'm very hard music.
I really appreciate it.
And, so with Escape from the Zoo, obviously I'm not too familiar with that, but I will delve into that. So that started around the time you were doing the splits after Crustfall. And is it kind of the same kind of songs that you write for Days N Daze, or is there a different like lyrical approach, or and who writes the lyrics in that?
Louder, sadder. Few drama jokes, sorry.
I think that it differs from Days N Daze in the sense that I don't have to worry about the guitar, because in Days N Daze, like, me and Megan, the guitar and the washboard kind of drive everything. I can't play like little 1-string riffs because it's too empty. So I'm kind of locked into how many options I have with Days N Daze. But with Escape from the Zoo, I could just play one note or not play anything at all, and have the bass and the drums carry it, have the mandolin carry something. I could do ska. It's just there's a lot more directions I can go in.
Sounds like a bit more texturized in a way too.
Yeah.
Lyrically, he does. So Days N Daze is a lot more like there's a lot of like personal, emotional turmoil songs, which we do have, but he also writes. He ends up using a lot more of the like kind of political, big picture world songs, and about like society and not just about what he's feeling inside, but what everybody's feeling. But he also does have like emotional turmoil songs. We have a lot of songs about addiction because we all struggle with that. And but he writes it all. I'm just telling you what he writes. We have multiple members that write. Jesse does write a lot of the bulk because he's like a song machine. So he just writes the most and the best. So. Oh.
I mean, honestly, your guys' music inspired me to do my poetry record the way I did it.
Thanks.
So, I mean, I can't say that I'm anywhere near that level, but I mean, it definitely played a part in what you can do with even poetry,
Yeah, poetry. I've thought about trying to do like spoken word stuff before, and that's just terrifying. So I mean, good on
I've
you
never
for
done
that.
it live, and people have asked me, would you do it live? And I'm like, honestly, I don't know, because what you just said. I only put the record out because I couldn't afford to self-publish a book. And I'm like, well, I could play some like, really light despondent stuff, and I've got a really punky one, I guess, in a way. I basically, like, Family Man by Black Flag had music, and then Henry Rollins would do the spoken word stuff. What if I did like a Black Flaggy sounding thing with this poem and it worked? But I mean, just the idea that, I love what you do, in that I feel like it's more sociological than it is political with your.
Oh yeah, I feel like there's enough writers that are talking about politics that know so much more about it than me, and I don't want to misinform anyone or sway anyone in
Well, yeah,
negative
exactly.
direction. So I figure they say write what you know, right? So I don't know that much about politics.
Yeah, I can say I was thinking political, but yeah, it's just kind of the effect.
Yeah.
Some of it talks about the effect that politics have, but he's not actually talking about the politics themselves.
Exactly.
Because that's too confusing and dramatic.
I don't care about the political reasons. It's freaking wrong, man.
I've have always felt like political songs don't do as much as more personal songs either. They don't like if you're just yelling at somebody in a song about your political beliefs, it's not gonna change theirs.
No.
But if you can relate to them through a song on like a human level, maybe it helps to bring people together. And
yeah, it definitely opens up a dialogue better than screaming at someone to vote for this guy, not that guy, or that, you shoot yourself in the foot. You do that in a way. So I mean, now going back to Days N Daze after making Escape from the Zoo, what was that like going back to acoustic after doing some electric stuff? Was that kind of hard, or did you just kind of go back in like riding a bike?
It was hard on my fingers. No, it's I mean, I think I learned a lot from doing Escape from the Zoo, and had kind of messed around with just different play styles, and so I don't know if that shows in Show Me the Blueprints or not, but I definitely went into Show Me the Blueprints with more knowledge of my instrument than I had when we did Crust Ball.
Yeah, I don't know if I can really, because I don't want to like put people off if they haven't heard the record by now. They should, if they haven't, if they're watching this. I wouldn't say that there's much that different in the sound wise and the style that you guys play, but I feel like there is a bit more musically stuff going on in a way, which isn't a bad thing,
Yeah, I think the big difference, obviously, with Show Me the Blueprints is that we didn't record it, so it's just higher like production value.
Yeah,
but it's very much the same, style of songwriting.
I love how Flurry Rush starts off with that false start. How you just left that in there. Oh shit. Those are
the best parts of recording, when you find a little snippet to put in.
And it's like, when you hear that, it's like, okay, we're gonna have fun. Sorry, go ahead.
All right. The reason why I'm here is because we Escape from the Zoo just put out a record called Counting Cards. That's why I don't really play with I play a little bit live with them, a few songs and stuff here and there, but I'm not in Days N Daze. But I just wanted to get the full disclosure. Yeah, I'm not.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
it's our first fancy album too, so it sounds better than our older stuff.
Absolutely, and we'll definitely get into that after we get through the blueprints. Don't worry.
Sorry.
But that is awesome, and I appreciate that, because some people watching might get confused and think you're the one singing with him on the Days N Daze record. So that might be a good thing you said that too.
No, that's Whitney, and she plays trumpet. She's great.
I love the trumpet. I'm sorry, that's one thing I love in this style. I almost wonder what it would be like if someone added a saxophone to something like that.
That's my instrument, but I only play at a 7th grade level, so
Oh, okay.
not quite there yet.
Still kill it on what you've done with it. It's been great. I can't play anything that involves wind. I mean, aside from like a kazoo and a harmonica, I got that.
Yeah, I was gonna say those are the only two things I can play.
Yeah, but aside from like anything that you have to, use, what is it, amateur, right?
Amateur,
Yeah,
Like a flute.
anything with a mouthpiece, I'm just, no, flute, can't do it.
I play flute, sax, I can play woodwinds, but the trumpet, the horn, that vibrating thing with your lips, I can't do that.
It drives me crazy. Like
Yeah, tickles, yeah.
Yeah, like I actually in elementary school we had that elective where your parents had to rent the instrument, but I wanted to play sax, but it was more expensive, so I got stuck with the trumpet. I remember that used to like tickle my nose and crap when I tried to do that, and I couldn't stand it.
I don't get how people do that. It's awful. And then like your lips get all puffy and numb after you play it for a while. It's just a nightmare instrument.
I mean, I know you can get a headache from singing, but blowing into a trumpet all night, ouch. You see the looks on some of their faces too, like Louis Armstrong, like, ow.
Yeah,
man.
no one looks comfortable playing a trumpet. Every picture you'll ever see of someone playing the trumpet, it looks like they're like super constipated or something. It's not
yeah.
Louis Armstrong blows out his cheeks. Have you ever tried to blow up like a water balloon and you know how your cheeks hurt? Louis Armstrong did that constantly to get the sound that he got. That's why his face looks like that, because it hurts the whole time.
Yeah, it sounds
yeah.
back of your
Yeah,
jaw.
like, no thanks. And while we're on blueprints, the song Saboteurs, I really relate to that one to it, so I wanted to bring that up, and I love how it's almost like a storytelling song, and it's a beautiful song with a beautiful melody. I wanted to give you props on that. And like I said, it's hard for me to choose between the Oogle or is it Dougal? I love how you put that clip in there. That was great. And the Blueprints record, and I have no rhyme or reason. Those are just the records that speak to me the most, I guess, in a way. Was there anything that, other than, you not recording it, was there anything else that was different on Show Me the Blueprints for you?
I mean, just working with Fat Rick, working with like Mike and Johnny who recorded it. I mean, they've been doing this so much longer than me, and they had so much insight into just how songs are pieced together. And like, I mean, for so long, I would just play exactly the same thing on like the mandolin and the banjo and the ukulele and the guitar, just to get like this, wall of sound kind of. And partly because I couldn't get the right sound out of my guitar that I wanted in the recording. So when they were recording, we recorded the guitar track, and I was like, okay, that sounds great. We don't need to layer anything else on it. So it freed up all those other stringed instruments to do little like noodles and stuff here and there to add like dynamics to it instead of just one giant wall of sound. Mike and Johnny were like, hey, why don't we like
pull that?
Yeah, let's pull like the washboard out. Right? I mean, they weren't like forcing us to do this, but these were like,
yeah, suggestions.
Yeah, which I took, gladly, because that's how. They're all great suggestions, and I love collaborating too. I really think that's how the best art gets made, is when it's because if it's just your brain reeling over and over the same ideas, you're not going to get anything fun,
Yeah, you won't get a different, yeah, I've noticed that too, and I'm the same way. I work best with, when I have someone to bounce ideas off of, even in taking out one word or putting a different word in can totally, change it,
Oh yeah, totally.
And
so, I think that was the difference with Show Me the Blueprint. Sorry, but just like I'd always just recorded everything exactly how my brain saw it, and on this one, I had other musicians to bounce stuff off of, and like, I had a little more input.
That is awesome. Yeah, I was just curious because, like I said, there isn't a lot of differences, but they're ever so slight. So I wanted to get the whole gamut on that. And back to Escape the Zoo. You've got a record that just came out.
Yep, counting cards.
Also on Fat Wreck, so it's our first fancy album.
Oh, fancy.
Just fun. I didn't have to do any promotion or anything because I'm terrible at it, and they took care of it. Great.
Don't feel bad. I'm bad at promoting myself as a DJ and such, and doing this too.
Yeah, I hate being like, "Hey, look, we're good at stuff." Like, I feel like I'm too much humility for that.
Yeah, exactly. It's more like, hey, I do this thing and I do this thing. If you're keen, check it out. If not, whatever, you know.
Yeah, exactly, me too.
Like, I'm not that much of an egotist where I'm like, man, check out this really cool stuff I do. You know, I'm so cool. I work at Walmart for a day job, you know, come on.
I work at Walmart.
I do get, not that I'm so cool, but like when I make something, I really do get like, I want everyone to see it like immediately. Like I want to feel like family and Veronica, like our bandmates.
Well, yeah, but I'm not gonna like go to a total stranger. Dude, I'm so awesome. Check this out.
Look at what I recorded. It's sick. Yeah, no,
He's a very like, look at me, kind of like a kid does, not like a look, I'm awesome. Like it's not an overly confident thing. It's a very like, look at me, look what I can do. Like
my wife would probably describe me the same way. So
yeah, the self-promotion thing is difficult. I'm glad we have those folks to help us out with this record for sure.
Oh yeah, well you've definitely earned it. I mean, was there anything different on this Escape the Zoo record that you guys did compared to the other ones?
We recorded during COVID, so we couldn't have two of our members there with us because we were at Jesse's parents' house, and we couldn't have them with us. So we actually had Elliot, who is in a band called We the Heathens and another band called Doom Scroll. He's now a permanent member of our band. He came down, he played drums and bass, he recorded everything, and he did a killer job. A couple of his songs are on there, they're awesome, and and then we were having somebody who works for Fat Records mixing and mastering it, and then Fat Mike heard it, and he was like, I want that, and picked it up. So that's cool, we were very flattered. But yeah, so it's very different, but it's, I don't know, what do you have to say?
Yeah, I mean, we covered it. We just, before our friend McKenna would record us, and we would just go to their house. They had like everything set up, and we would just play the song and record everything at once. And then do vocals and mandolin were the only other layers. But for this, I mean, everything was separate. We definitely took our sweet time with it. It was like a month, I think, that Elliot was at my folks' place. We were recording every day. Yeah.
So what was it like actually, because of the difference in the recording? Did you enjoy doing it the way that you did this last time, or did you enjoy making the records more, doing a lot of the stuff live with the little overdubs?
You go first? No. I mean, I enjoyed both of them. Obviously when we record everything at the same time, it's like way quicker, so that's nice, and like there's a lot more energy to it, or like palpable energy, because you're actually playing the song with other people. So we're like, there's no metronomes that we have to play to or any awful shit like that. I hate playing the metronomes.
So do I hate them so bad.
It's so awful. So yeah, I mean, that's like, it makes it quicker, it makes it easier, but taking our time with it, dealing with the metronomes, it made everything sound a lot cleaner and it sounds like exactly how I heard all the songs in my head. It was like, it took a lot longer, but it was a lot less stress, because you just, if you fuck up, you just, punch in and just do that little bit again, instead of having to start from the beginning of the song with other people relying on you not to fuck it up.
Yeah.
And you're having somebody who is at the level of the person who is mixing and mastering it, I mean, he wouldn't have been able to really do his job if it was all together like that. I mean, he wouldn't have any control, you know?
Yeah.
So it helps in that process too.
I mean, for me, in my experience, I found certain elements of it, like you mentioned, the metronome, I hate, you know, I years ago. But the one thing that I found kind of, I guess, satisfying or cathartic was there was one track I did where it had a very ambient intro. So I added like 6 or 7 or 8 different layers of guitars doing kind of the same thing, but making it different. And when I heard that played back after they did some rough mixing, I was just like, I did that? Like, what?
I love layered
Yeah.
guitars playing different things that match. I think that's cool, but
Power of
especially when
layering.
it builds up,
Yeah.
like loop pedals and stuff like that.
I mean, as I'm sure coming back to electric was like, ooh, I got a new toy. Look, oh my God, I can do this. I'm sure. Was there any of that when you were recording guitars for this record? Like, well,
Oh yeah.
this melody is kind of, and what if I did it a little differently and tried it this way? And you can actually like play them back to back and actually pick from that. And was that
Yeah, it was
fun for you or no?
well, I mean, having Elliot is a guitar whiz, like tone is, you know, his
Yeah.
wheelhouse. So like, it's nothing that I know or have ever known about. So to have him there and like help me tweak all the amps and stuff, I think we spent like, didn't we spend like an entire day just trying to get the guitar tone like
And the mandolin.
just right? Yeah, it's like we sat there and we'd like, you know, move the amp around, move the, you know, mic around the amp,
Yep.
figure out exactly how we could get it set. Yeah, it's a, so yeah, it definitely was it was like having a brand new toy, and then, you know, someone that knew how I was meant to play with it also.
Some of it was like written on the fly too, which was cool.
That's
I like
one
a few of
thing
the
too.
parts.
When you're recording like that and you're recording a track and you're playing it back, there's some stuff you come up with in the
Oh yeah.
moment that just you're like, I could never do that without, like, it's almost like there's some divine intervention that just gave you those notes out of
Yeah,
And you'll
nowhere.
just hear it.
Yeah.
The mandolin parts I wrote, I kind of wrote them while we were recording, and it was that, yeah, I would hear it while I was listening to them, listen to it over and over again, and then there would just be this little melody that would just come down from the sky.
I like
Isn't it
that.
cool how those things just seem to take it up a notch in a way? Like completely.
Those are the sprinkles, right? You got,
Yeah, I got a pepper.
elevates everything. Yeah,
The secret
like
secret,
there's one,
the special sauce.
Yes.
there's one song on that new Escape from the Zoo album that has like, it's this really gnarly breakdown, and there's like these vocalizations that my sister and their partner Micah did that kind of are like reminiscent of like the music in the Dark Souls games. So like,
Oh, that's awesome.
Kind
Like
of opera.
yeah.
I helped a little, but I couldn't keep up with Micah. Micah got pipes. Micah and Rissa just.
Yeah, that was one of those things where like we had recorded the breakdown and we're like, yeah, this is like gnarly, but you know what would be funny is if we let's add some like Dark Souls, you know, vocalization in there. And yeah, but like if you're doing it live, you can't just, that's not something that would probably happen because we like, you know,
It would throw everybody else off balance. Wait, what's that? We didn't rehearse that.
yeah.
There was one where Elliot and I were just kind of fucking around, and Jesse had recorded this kind of heavy vocal part at the end of the song, and I try my hand at like death metal vocals, like real deep, just like really, 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 and we recorded it, and it worked, so we kept it.
I really like, if you listen to that record and you spot it, let us know. I think it's like the second to last track, but there's like the deepest screams I've ever heard, and it's Veronica. It blew my goddamn mind when I heard it like that.
I hope I can do it live. I'm kind of excited to try.
So rowdy.
Just remember, go from the gut on that. Do not
Right.
shred your voice doing that. It's funny. I
think
learned how to
it comes
do
from
that.
the butt. That's what a lady told me once. So it comes all the way from the butt. You gotta go right up from the butt.
Oh yeah. They don't tell you this shit, but the reason why sometimes singers look the way they do is because they feel like they're shitting their pants to hit that note.
Oh my god, yeah.
Just singing in the car, I can feel that sometimes. I'm like, what the? Oh, wow, I'm really going for it. You know, like, but yeah, it's really like that. And a lot of people don't realize that. And I will look out for that. That's on my list of things to check out within this week. I mean, what is your guy? The question I ask everybody who comes on, what do you love about music that keeps you doing what you do?
I think what keeps me going is that giddiness that we were talking about earlier. Like when I write something and then it finally comes together and then I listen to it back for like the first time. That's just like the greatest feeling. Like being so stoked on something that you created. I love that, and I'll chase that high forever, probably.
For me, I have been trying to figure that out for a long time because it doesn't make sense. I don't like attention. I can't speak in public. I can't even read out loud. I can't, it's not my thing to like show people what I can do. I usually keep it inside, but I think, I guess I just kind of, it's this feeling of playing music with my friends that like, I can't play alone at all, but when I'm playing with other people, it just feels natural. I figured it out in band class that I was like, why do I like this? Like, you know, yeah, it's just this weird, I just really, I enjoy it. And when I picked up mandolin, I was pretty quick that people were like, damn, you're pretty good at that one. So I was like, all right, I'll keep it. I'm too lazy to figure anything else out. So that's the one.
Well, what's really cool is there's no right or wrong answer. And, you know, the answers I get are all different, yet the sentiment's the same. It's just the pure love. It's all, like I said earlier, it almost is like there's a difference you could tell in the music when someone chooses it versus when it chooses them, you know? Yeah. Because you don't get a choice. You don't know what else to do. You don't do it for money. You just do it because that's all you know. You know.
I came from a school, my public school system was very intense about music. Like I had to learn how to play piano in kindergarten, and I played until third grade, and then you have to sing from third to fifth, and then you pick an instrument in fifth grade, and you have to play in band. So I didn't have a choice, but my mom played guitar and it always came really naturally to me. So I just kept going.
I blame it all on a Kiss record my dad gave me at 5 years old.
Oh yeah, Dad.
You know, but I mean, I just think it's awesome what you guys are doing. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we kind of wrap it up? Because I think we covered everything pretty well. If I'm wrong, you can let me know.
We have a tour that starts March 11th, doing all the East Coast. That'll be Escape from the Zoo with Public Serpents from New Jersey, I think.
Nice. I'll have to look at the dates and keep me posted.
Yeah, it'll be all over our Facebook and Instagram and all that nonsense. I would love to hear that poetry album if you can shoot me
I will
a link
send
to
you the
that.
link on Bandcamp as soon as we're done here. Absolutely.
Sick. Awesome. Unless you have anything else?
No.
Yeah, I don't know. Thanks so much for having us, Andy. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's not a problem at all, and it's an absolute honor. I didn't know if you guys did interviews. I didn't know, you know, how you were on that, but I wanted to really bad because I really liked your stuff. So I thank you as well because I love your music and this has been fun. Guys, if you like what we're doing here, click the like button and subscribe and leave a comment for Jesse and Veronica here. I'm sure they'll be poking around. Until next time, guys, you're welcome back anytime. You know, any music you have coming, send it to me. I'll gladly play it. You know, I'll help you any way I can. And I hope to see you on the East Coast when you come this way. And once again, I'm Andy Thunders, and that was Jesse and Veronica of Days N Daze and Escape the Zoo. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.